Fantastic. Hello, and thank you for joining us for today's conversation, From Vision to Execution, Turning Self-Knowledge into Business Success. My name is Danny Unzueto. I'm excited to welcome you to today's event. If it's your first time attending one of our workshops, welcome. I know that Startout's mission is to increase opportunity and success for LGBTQ plus entrepreneurs. I'm grateful to introduce our host for today's session, Kelly Schick-Snyder from Juicy Lemon. The floor is yours, Kelly.
You nailed it. Good job on getting my last name. It's a hard one. Hey guys, I'm happy to be here today. We are going to talk about from vision to execution, turning self-knowledge into business success. I am a serial entrepreneur and owner of the Juicy Lemon, which is my business consulting company, and I am happy to be here with you guys today. Hopefully, we'll learn a little something together that will help you in your entrepreneurial lives. So, the goal of this workshop is going to be to transform your self-knowledge into strategic business decisions. I'm going to help you build systems that honor your energy and design. You're going to create sustainable growth without sacrificing authenticity. And you're going to move from knowing who you are to building what you are meant to build. So just a little bit about me for those of you maybe who didn't attend my last couple of presentations. I live in New Orleans. I should have updated this slide. I'm no longer planning a move to Milwaukee. I'm going to root down into New Orleans, and I've got some exciting opportunities here. I do identify as a non-binary lesbian, and my pronouns are they, them. I'm a serial entrepreneur that got my start with a hot sauce company at age 26. I built it from scratch in Denver, expanded it to 700 plus restaurants by 2019. And then COVID hit, and my whole life has gotten rearranged since then. And I've been forced into learning some new things and deciding, if I'm getting out of hot sauce, what am I going to do next? And I've really been thinking about what it means to be aligned, what my purpose here is on earth. And I am a writer, a speaker. I'm an intuitive guide that does a lot of mentorship. I'm a business coach. I own a consulting firm. I'm building a piece of software for food CPG companies, and I'm actually pivoting into being an influencer doing content creation, teaching people how to make hot sauce is sort of a continuation of the business I built. So the journey so far has been workshop one was building resilience. We talked about mastering your mindset and energy management. And basically just that everything is energy, right? That we're all made of energy, that everything you're looking around at is energy. And it's important for us to keep our brains and our bodies squeaky clean, to pay attention to what we're consuming and what we're thinking and how we're feeling so that we can vibrate at a high enough level that's going to match the good vibration of the universe. So we talked about what it means to be resilient, to cultivate resilience through energy management. Then in workshop two, we talked about defining authenticity, right? So success equals alignment, and alignment equals success. So if you know who you are, you have a better chance of building a business that's going to mirror your authentic self. And if you build a business that mirrors your authentic self, you are going to you're going to be excited about it. You're going to want to show up to work every day. You're going to experience success because you're doing something that you love. And then, yeah, here we are at workshop three. So how are we going to take building resilience and energy management, and how are we going to take authenticity and alignment and move from vision, right? Managing our energy and knowing ourselves, into execution. And the quote at the bottom of this says, self-awareness without action is just expensive self-help, which is true, right? Like if I don't take any action about the things I know about myself, then my life's going to get pretty expensive without any real results. Okay, so vision translation. So we are moving. Vision is, what do I see happening in the future, right? I tried to get my video correct, but I've got a neon sign behind me on this wall that says vision. And vision is what I see for the future, right? What kind of future do I want to get into, and what are the steps I need to take in order to get there? So we're going to move from our inner knowing, right? We know ourselves, to outer expression. And the unique ability that we talked about in the last workshop. So unique ability is the thing that I've been doing since I was little, that I do easily, that when I'm doing it, I feel like $1,000,000, and that it never ever feels like work, right? So there's the saying that if you do something you love, you never work a day in your life. the things that you love are typically fall within your unique ability, and everybody has one. So, questions for the vision translation: what energizes you the most? So that's going to be your core service offerings, right? What am I excited about build? What am I excited about in the world that if I'm excited about it, I can translate it into a service or a product, right? And I'm going to build that because if I'm excited about it, that energy is going to be contagious. For me, I was really excited about hot sauce. I knew that it could be so much more than what it was in 2014 when I started my company. I knew that restaurants needed good hot sauce. And as a result of being good at making it and loving spicy food and being excited about it, right, that vision translated into a core product offering, right? Okay, I'm going to sell hot sauce. So, what comes naturally? I've always been really good at cooking. I was fortunate to grow up with parents who knew how to cook. And as a result, I'm super creative in the kitchen. I love it. I took to it like a duck to water. And that gave me a competitive advantage, right? Because it was something I loved doing, being creative in the kitchen. I was already doing it recreationally, right? Like I was making relish of all kinds and ketchup and barbecue sauce and using all the produce I was growing in my garden to make all these fun different dishes and condiments. And so that's my competitive advantage, right? That I'm good at what I do and that I love it. And then what problems do you solve effortlessly is going to be your ideal client's pain points, right? So what we're not here to solve every problem, right? Businesses are created to solve a problem for a client. And whatever problem you are the most excited about that's easy for you to solve. For me, it was like, oh my gosh, we need better hot sauce at restaurants, right? So that was my ideal client's pain point, right? They were forcing to carry in Cholula, Tabasco, Tapatio because there was nothing else offered through the food service distributors at a price that they could afford that was also delicious and tasty, right? So I set out to make condiments that were going to be not only affordable, but also made with local organic ingredients and that were going to be just incredibly price competitive. And then what would you do for free? Your mission and your messaging. So the things that I'm willing to do for free are speak, are hand out, hot sauce samples and talk to people all day, right? I love running around and making connections. And so my mission was really I also love feeding people, right? And I love delicious food. And so doing sales calls was easy for me because I was able to feed people hot sauce and I knew that it was delicious because I had made it and we were able to cultivate all this connection and community, right? I love being in groups of people. I love talking to chefs. I love being in the food service industry. And so the mission and the messaging is that I was elevating everyday meals, right? I was transforming what was originally an ordinary experience into an extraordinary one through my love for it, through doing it for free, right? So your authentic gifts are always going to be your market differentiator, right? What makes you special is your point of differentiation. So these questions are really important to ask, I would encourage you guys to take a screenshot. I can share this presentation too after the fact. And to really think about these questions, put them into your own business. What am I the most excited about? What comes naturally? What problems am I solving that are easy for me to solve that I'm interested in? And what are the things that I'm willing to do for free? What lights me up in the morning? And then, values-based decision making. So in my first slide, I have my values. In the Who's Kelly slide, I had my values: courage, faith, freedom, integrity, and self-love, right? And so those are the 5 things that I bring to all of the businesses I've created, all the job opportunities I've had, right? Your core values are going to be your business filter. And so when your values and your business align, your decision fatigue disappears. And let me tell you why. Because when you use your values to evaluate clients, partnerships, how to price your services, when to say no, and what growth strategies to choose, you're operating from a position of alignment, right? So I'm aligned with my highest, most authentic self. And as a result, when I translate that into a vision for my business, right, I'm able to operate from alignment, which is going to ensure that I'm not going to overextend myself. I'm not going to say yes to things that I don't care about. I'm not going to pursue partnerships that are problematic, where they don't respond, where intuitively I know it's wrong, but I feel desperate for money, so I commit anyway. And I'm not going to go after clients that aren't a good market fit, right? So every decision will be easier when you know what your non-negotiables are. So I would encourage y'all to think about your values. Pick five, right? You can Google a list of values on the internet. Perplexity, ChatGPT, right? Give me a list of 100 values. Pick your five most prominent and use that as your measure of alignment, right? Use that to tailor your business. So energy aligned operations, right? So last time I talked about a couple of woo-woo systems that I use to better understand myself that have led to immense growth and change in the way that I operate. And so one of those is going to be human design. You can look up your free profile. And what's cool about human design is that it's an energy system designed to tell you how you work best. And I don't know about you guys, but like in my first business, I was blown in the wind, wasting a bunch of time and just really not understanding how I could work best. Now that I know that I'm a projector, right? So my focus is on invitation based marketing, that wait for the invitation is my strategy. Right. And so now that I know that my only job in life is to make myself visible. So the way that I make myself visible as a projector is I put videos on the internet. I send out warm leads via email, just asking people what they're doing. Is there an opportunity to collaborate together? Here's what I'm thinking about what we could do together. I make phone calls where I say the same thing. Hey, just checking in. I heard that you were working on this project. I'd love to talk to you about it, right? Not even a direct sales pitch. You know, for me, it's about other people inviting me in to do my magic. And so all I have to do is just make sure that they know about me. So I go to networking events, I talk loudly about what I'm doing and what I'm excited about, knowing that the invitations are going to come to me, right? Today, for example, I made a call yesterday. This guy I met a couple weeks ago at a restaurant. He's really interested in launching a barbecue sauce business. He's got the recipes, he's got the labels, he's got the bottles, but he can't find a co-packer. He's not sure how to get started in grocery. He is unclear about other applications. He's working with somebody who promised him the moon, but that guy never shows up to any meetings they do. And so I just literally called him out of the blue and said, hey, Mark, it was so great to meet you last week. So glad to record some content at your restaurant. I had so much fun eating the barbecue. Um, I would love to hear more about your sauce business. Give me a holler when you're free. And he called me today and he said, hey, I'm looking for somebody like you. I'm looking for somebody who is willing to help me take this thing to the top. And I'm going to give them an equity stake in the business if they're willing to do the hard work. And I said, yeah, that's definitely what I want, you know? And so it was an opportunity. I got invited into the process and was able to say, yeah, this is the right fit for me. It's something I'm excited about. So structure your business around your natural rhythms, right? Look up your chart and just find out what's your strategy and authority, right? What's my strategy for being out in the world? And for generators, it's to respond. For manifestors, it's to inform. And for reflectors, it's to wait 28-day cycles. So super helpful when you know what your energy is, you can use it appropriately, and then you don't get burned out. So another thing I talked about last presentation is the Colby Index. So this is a really cool, actually, a really cool test that you can take. And basically what it shows to you when you get your results is how you take action most effectively, right? Most of us do not know how we take action most effectively. And I found of all of the systems I've used, I have found the Colby A index to be one of the coolest tools on earth, right? Like personality tests are great, but how am I doing what I do best? Is better information, right? I want to know the how of how I get things done so that I can work more in alignment with my energy. And so you want to choose revenue streams that match your design. Money is not good money if it drains your soul, right? If I'm mad about talking to this client, if they're constantly bugging me, if I'm offered to redo somebody's website, but that's not what lights me up, or whatever it is, right? We want to take in cash from a place of alignment, right? Because otherwise, we're going to experience stress, we're going to experience burnout, etc. So the Colby, so I would recommend it's $55. Get on Colby and take this test and find out how you best take action. Because once I read this about myself, I felt such a huge sense of relief. I was all of a sudden off the hook for all of this kind of flying around I had been doing, right? So The informed business models, if you're a high fact finder, right? Research, analysis, courses, detailed consulting. High follow through, systems, processes, implementation, project management. Quick start is going to be innovation, brainstorming, rapid prototyping, and creative services. So that's me, right? I've got an 8 in quick start. So I'm the ideas guy. I'm the vision guy. I love innovation. I'm brainstorming all the time. Rapid prototyping, right? Like I want to create something, test it in the market immediately, see if it works. If not, like I'm a quick fail. I'm a quick idea to fail, idea to fail, idea to fail. And once I started learning that about myself, I was like, oh my God, it makes so much sense why I'm always involved in 100 different things, talking about all these different ideas. Implementers, hands-on services, tangible products, crafting, building. Sustainable income is always going to come through your natural strengths. So go to Colby, pay 55 bucks. It'll be the best 55 bucks you ever spent. Building your aligned team. So I talked about a concept called who, not how, right? And this presentation is we are translating from the things that I talked about in the first two presentation and teaching you guys how to use them in execution, right? So like this is some actionable real world strategies. So human design and Colby will get an idea of our energy type, and then we get an idea of how we use that energy the most effectively, what we do most commonly that drives our success. And so you can use those things that you know about yourself, right? And your strengths and weaknesses to build teams around the things that you don't want to do, right? So we are leveraging who, not how. We're getting out of the capitalist mind frame of I have to do it all and I have to do it all alone. The answer to that is absolutely not, because all this stuff that you hate doing is never going to get done. You're going to procrastinate it because you don't love it. So for example, what I've been doing in this last few months is I've been like trading services, right? There's, startup businesses, right? Often need mentorship. I have a lot to offer for young startup companies because I've been involved in startups for 12 years now, and I built my own from scratch. And so I'm willing to trade mentorship for those early stage founders in order to leverage their skills in another area. So right now I have a trade with a food CPG company where she's doing some website design and some branding for me, because I'm not good at those things and I need that done in exchange for mentorship and helping launch her food CPG company, right? So I would encourage you guys, think outside the box, right? Get into your network, talk to your friends, right? Find people who are willing to trade with you so that you don't have to pay astronomical amounts of money to get your house done, right? Go out and find the who's for the hows you don't want to do. And as far as team building goes, right? Identify your zones of genius, the things that you're excited about, your unique ability, where you feel like $10 million, where if you did this every single day for the rest of your life, you would never work a day, right? So that's where you should stay. And then figure out what your energy drains are. All the stuff that you're procrastinating about, all the stuff that you got bad thinking about, all the stuff that's causing you to shake in your boots, right? And delegate these. Find a who for the hows that you don't want to do. It's going to triple your success overnight. And then, leverage team members, collaborations, trades to cover your gaps. And then if you're building a team within your company, right, create roles that honor everyone's design, right? So encourage them to dig into their unique ability, encourage them to dig into their energy type, and encourage them to take the Colby action profile, right? So that way you've got everybody operating in their unique ability. And then guess what? Everybody's stoked. Shit's getting done on time. It's getting done successfully. It's getting done with a good attitude. We take Fridays off because everybody's so productive. Like there's so much opportunity to change the way that we work. Entrepreneurs are famous for working 80, 90, 100 hours a week, burning out, not going to the gym, not eating healthy, not spending time with their families, not taking alone time, not reading books and doing all this stuff that's crucial to a balanced life, right? So we bring other people in to leverage their talents for the hows that we need done, right? So get creative with it. Get out in your regular life and start talking to the people in your life that are doing things that you're excited about that you need done. All right, sustainable growth patterns. So, to my point a minute ago about how entrepreneurs are famous for burning themselves out, we have high rates of suicide. Businesses fail all the time. We have to get out of the American mindset of I got to do everything and I got to do it perfectly and I got to do it alone. It doesn't work, right? Collaboration is the future. So your aligned growth principles for living this authentic, aligned life and building a business and a life that you love are honor your energy cycles. Rest is one of the most important things that we can do for ourselves. If I'm sitting at my computer at 1 p.m. and I hit the wall, and everybody here knows what the wall feels like, I don't push through the wall and slam a cold brew and think I'm going to get any real good work done. No, I literally will. I work from home, right? And I know everybody doesn't have that benefit. However, you can go to your car, you can sit in a chair in your office, sit on a couch, do something, take 20 minutes and close your eyes, right? We have proven scientifically that a 20-minute nap is going to reset the magnesium and the potassium in your brain. And then you can bounce back and have that cold brew, and you're going to work better. And you're going to work more aligned. You will have taken care of yourself, right? You're going to offset some of that burnout, right? We're no longer powering through. Queer people have a hard enough time in the world. We do not need to be self-inflicting gunshot wounds. You know what I mean? It's like rest is super important. Don't be afraid to say no to opportunities that don't fit, right? We don't want to take any opportunities out of a position of scarcity. We want to say yes to things that we are excited about exclusively, knowing that the universe is going to take care of us if we show up and take care of ourselves first. I've had this bear out in almost every scenario. Yesterday, I was feeling upset about not having a ton of clients right now and not making a bunch of money and starting to feel that like panic and that heaviness in my chest. And I called a friend and I talked to them about it. And, it was a 5-minute phone call, right? So I made a connection and said, hey, I'm feeling scared, and was able to get some of the crazy thoughts out of my brain with a friend of mine. And then that friend of mine was like, all right, take a minute, cry if you need to, write down the beliefs that you want to explode and get rid of that's causing you this misery. And then here's a couple of steps you can take. Leverage your network, call a couple people and see what happens, right? So that's when I called Mark at Central City Barbecue, who wants to offer me an equity stake in his hot sauce company. He called me back today, right? I called another gal I know for some entrepreneurial stuff I'm involved in, and she wants to sit down on Thursday. She's got 1,000 ideas for companies that I could collaborate with and work for. I have 2 meetings on the books with people, with companies that I'm really excited about working with, right? And so it's like I was able to recognize, oh, I'm feeling scared. And then I was able to call a friend and talk about those fears and process them. And then I was able to get into some action as the antidote, right? Knowing that I don't need to know the outcome, that I only need to take steps in alignment for my new future. And then build systems that work for you, not against you. So, think about how you can best structure your day, right? That builds in moments of rest, that enables you to be your best self, right? We are responsible solely for taking care of our little baby selves. And rest is important, food is important, drinking water is important, taking time to take some deep breaths, be where your feet are, get out for a walk on your lunch break, right? Build these things into your day. Take care of yourself. It's going to make work so much easier. We're measuring success by alignment, not just revenue, right? It's how I feel when I'm making the money that matters, right? It's not about the money itself, right? Money does not buy happiness translates into, it does not matter how much money I have if I can't appreciate the journey to get to that money. If I'm making that money on the backs of somebody else while hurting them, if I'm making that money out of misalignment, working with people I don't like, don't care about, won't answer their emails, right? We want to be in flow. We want to be in ease. And also to grow at your natural pace, right? Market pressure is insane. In startup culture, there's very much like get venture capital, we got to sell by year 5, et cetera. Take it easy, right? Build something that can last, that you care about, and let go of the external timeline, right? Deep breaths into what we can do. And so authentic businesses grow like trees, strong roots, sustainable expansion. So measurement that matters. We're tracking success beyond vanity metrics. We're measuring what actually indicates aligned success. So alignment metrics. What are your energy levels like after your client work if you do services? Or what are your energy levels like after you are in your production facility making products, right? If you feel out of sorts, that might be an indication that you're working with the wrong clients, or that you've got no business, hanging out in the production facility, and maybe we should outsource production, right? Percentage of time and your unique ability. How often are in your day do you feel like $1 million doing what you were always meant to do, right? We all know what flow feels like. It's that magical feeling where my work's effortless, the rest of the world disappears. I feel incredible about myself because I'm doing something I'm good at. That is what we are trying to spend time in. The more time we spend in our unique ability, in alignment, the more productive we will be, the better quality of our work, right? And I read an article last week talking about the zone of genius, talking about how we always think that Mozart or Einstein or all of these other creative geniuses just had that talent from birth, and they were just blessed, and I'm never going to have a talent like that, and I don't know what to do. The reality of this article demonstrated that most people, geniuses, right? Einstein, Mozart, whoever else you want to dump into that bucket, geniuses spend time cultivating their craft, right? Practice makes perfect. They spend time on it. Writers, really good writers, spend a shit ton of time writing. Is all the writing good? No, of course not. It's about practicing your unique ability, honing in on the skill set that makes you feel like $1 million. And that's how you get to genius level, right? So don't be afraid to get into your unique ability and to live there and to perfect your genius. Everybody's a genius at something. Everybody has a talent that they were brought here to share with us, right? So hone in on what that is for you, and master it. Practice it every day, whether it's 30 minutes, an hour, 2 hours, etc. But the more time you spend there, the happier you'll be. More alignment metrics, client satisfaction and retention. Are your clients having a good time interacting with you? Are your customers really enjoying your product, and is it flying off the shelves? Are you having to chase people around? Are you constantly losing clients? Are you constantly losing stores? Just really paying attention to, the product or service I'm offering. How are my clients, my customer base, my target market receiving that? Team harmony and productivity. We all know when the culture is bad at the office, right? So we want everybody to be getting along, to feel excited about their work, to have a work-life balance, right? Measuring productivity and team harmony, and then personal fulfillment and joy, right? If all I do is work, regardless of how much I like work, that's not a balanced life, and I'm probably not going to have a whole lot of fulfillment and joy. So what am I doing to build in and cultivate joy in my day-to-day life, right? Whether it be like little moments like a walk on a lunch break, whether it's sitting down to a healthy meal and taking an intentional 30 minutes for lunch, right? Whether it's taking a nap in the afternoon. By nap, I mean 20-minute reset. Maybe it's reading my favorite book. Maybe it's planning a date with my wife, right? So building in joy. And then our common misalignment trap. So recognizing when you're forcing versus flowing. So you're forcing if constant burnout, exhaustion, stress, anxiety, upset, you got the rat race going on in your brain, a lot of limiting beliefs. Procrastination on important tasks, right? So those important tasks, if you're procrastinating on them, why are you procrastinating? Likely because they're not within your zone of genius, within your unique ability. So where is the who that's going to get this how done? And then feeling like you're pushing a boulder uphill, right? Again, this is another opportunity to say there's a how that needs to get done. There's a who that needs to do it, and it's not me. I'm going to trade my way to a new future, right? I'm also not going to push through the afternoon tides. I'm going to go take a nap. I'm going to step away, knowing that this is not a matter of life or death or national security. And so we're good, right? What we can step away from work. It is not that serious. And then feeling like, oh, I have two repeats. So what would it look like if if this were easy, is the question for misalignment, right? So if I'm sitting at my desk, stressing out, losing my mind, what would it look like if this were easy? It's usually a who, not how question. All right, and then this is a little bit of a shorter presentation, so you guys are going to kind of be off the hook today for the rest of your 30 minutes. But the reflection, I'd love to see some answers in the chat if you've got any of these 4 questions. So what's one business decision you've been avoiding that would honor your authentic self? Where in your business are you currently forcing instead of flowing? So what's that thing you're procrastinating on? What's the first aligned action you'll take this week to move toward your authentic vision? And then who's one person you can ask to support you in this transition, right? That's a who, not how question. So revenue is also going to always going to follow alignment, not the other way around. So anybody got any, I know that we have a small group today, but anybody want to pop into the chat or come on camera and tell me if they got an answer to this question? And then also too, I'm going to open the floor for questions if you guys want to talk to me or pitch a particular business question or anything.
Fantastic, Kelly. Thank you so much for this. Folks, don't be shy. It's a great time to come and ask questions. Kelly's fantastic at this. I do want to say I appreciate the second question where you're talking about where in your business are you currently forcing instead of flowing. It's a really helpful reframe of some of the work that we're doing and how often we're like, I got to get this done. But if that wall is there for a reason, sometimes it's there for a reason.
Yeah.
I often try and push back on it. So thank you for that. I appreciate that.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm trying to be in flow all the time. I hate forcing stuff. I'm not trying to do things I hate anymore, right? Life is too short to do stuff we don't like. We're going to leverage that, delegate it, collaborate it, whatever it needs to just get done.
Awesome. So I'm going to ask you oh, here we got April.
Oh, cool.
Hey, yeah, I go by Ashay. It's great to meet you, and I'm
Welcome,
loving the
Ashay.
presentation and all of the tools that you're sharing with us. I've got to get into this question about like forcing versus flowing. I feel like I'm like right in the middle of something. I'm in the service industry. I lead dance experiences and healing experiences and always trying to fill up our events. And so right now I'm like in a moment where I'm like, it feels like I'm forcing for something that I really want. And I'm like, how do you get out of these moments and decide when to like keep going with it or shift something about it?
I think I tend to answer those kinds of questions intuitively, right? Most of us have a pretty good intuitive sense, or if we take some time to sort of write down our thinking and feeling about anything that's kind of not working, right? The answer will become clear, right? The answers are always within us. And so for attracting people to your dance classes, your service offerings, your events, right? Maybe we're targeting the wrong customer. Maybe we're hanging out in places where our target customer isn't. Maybe we're not running, maybe the messaging in our marketing isn't reaching the intended audience, or maybe it's not crafted in a way that compels them to show up. Maybe we're not going to enough networking events to meet people that would be interested in our service offering, right? Any of those things could be true. It could also be the universe asking you to make a different kind of event for a different target market, right? It could be the universe saying, hey, I don't want you to do events. I want you to do one-on-ones, right? I want you to offer classes, but maybe it's on a private client. And so I would encourage you to look inward, right? And to ask yourself those questions, like, is my marketing effective? Who's my target market, right? To get in to the reality of the situation and know that, hey, there is an answer to this, right? And maybe if I'm continuously running up against a wall, it's just an opportunity to pivot, right?
The old pivot. Thank you very much. Appreciate it.
Yeah, of course. Thank you for asking. Anybody else feeling frisky? Anybody got a business question it doesn't have to relate to the reflection questions. Anybody got a business question, something they're struggling with, they want to run by me? Maybe I can help shake something loose for you.
I'm always happy to jump in if folks are thinking. Talk to me a little bit more about, I pulled up the Colby Index that you're mentioning.
Yeah.
I'm a big fan of assessments and different things. How did that help you really shift some of the mindset once you took it and you're like, oh, I understand what this means? How has that helped you decide where and when you want to put your energy in?
Absolutely. So I know that now that I know that what's plagued me my whole life has been being an ideas person, being kind of all over the place, right? I'm that one friend that people are like, oh my God, you talk a mile a minute and you're always talking about something new and you're always getting involved in something new and you got 100 business partners and can't you just focus, you know? And I always felt like, oh my God, do I need to focus? Is that really who I am? Like, I don't know if I'm like capable of that or like what's going on here. I knew that this was my general nature, but I didn't know how to accept it about myself and channel it into something new. So the Colby Index I found as a result of interacting with strategic coach and Dan Sullivan. And I had never really before come across an index that described to me how I took action. And so what it clarified for me was that I am a quick starter, right? So like innovation, creativity, these bursts of ideas that I have, that's actually me in my zone of genius, right? So it allows me to codify my marketing to make myself more visible, right? As a person who has a ton of creative ideas, a ton of innovative solutions. I'm a great troubleshooter. I want to pop into people's businesses, hang out for like 6 weeks, ask them a shit ton of questions, teach them how to think differently and then pop out, right? Like I'm not your long-term strategy business consultant, gonna hang out with you for 10 years and answer all your crisis calls. I am not the person for that. I want to bounce around and do stuff. And so it really just more helped me to craft my marketing messaging, but also to just accept myself as I am, to know that this is where my zone of genius lies. And there's actually nothing wrong with the fact that I bounce around and have wild ideas all the time.
Like that's super helpful. One in the allowing yourself to be in that space. I similarly, I you can ideate and brainstorm with me all day long, and then I'm like, okay, cool, go do it.
That's right.
I don't want to be part of that. Go have fun.
That's right.
I think that's super helpful. Thank you for that. We're having some, folks don't have a ton of questions, but some really good comments happening in the chat around, delegating what isn't in alignment, finding ways to pay, trade, or barter, all very important to nudge those kinds of things happening. Using AI to automate things that you hate. I wrote a cover letter today, or a recommendation letter today for somebody using AI, and then I was able to edit that. So I agree.
That's right.
We do have a question from Calvin. What do you think is the most valuable way to market yourself as a new coach or consultant without prior experience in that space? Branding, testimonials from folks that you've helped for free. Basically, if you know you love to do something and that you're good at it, how do you convince others to take a chance on you when you're just getting started?
What a great, thoughtful set of questions. So I think that, if alignment is the metric for success, right? And we're doing what we love with people that we enjoy doing it with. Yes, testimonials from folks you've helped for free, right? So any kind of consumer confidence, right? Any kind of testimonials, reviews, et cetera, that you can bring to the table. Incredible, regardless of whether or not you've helped them for free. I think that positioning yourself as an expert in whatever field you're in on LinkedIn is also another way to go about it, right? LinkedIn has turned into an incredible sort of social media tool where you can write white papers, you can pay attention to trending topics in your field and write little articles about them and do posts and go and follow people and investigate what other people in your field are doing as well, right? And so you can kind of get tips, tricks, ideas, and start to find your audience on the internet. I also think too, it just kind of depends on your to paying on human design. It sort of depends on your energy style and the way that you take action, right? So from a human design perspective, you're one of 4 energy types, and those come with different strategies for how to be in the world. And so as a projector, when I started really knowing that visibility was the solution to getting invitations, and then my only job was to just show up and be seen, right? Like I'm doing this for free for Start Out because I love Start Out as an organization, right? And this is me showing up to be seen, right? And I know that the more that I continue to show up and be seen in my zone of genius, which is helping other entrepreneurs, which is speaking, writing, talking, communicating is my thing, right? That's what I'm here to do. that those invitations are going to come to me. If you're a generator, you know, you're kind of like hanging out in life. And your job is to respond to opportunities as they come to you, to be in flow, to do what you do best, and to respond to things as they come to you. And so how do you convince others to take a chance on you when you're just getting started? I think the answer is that those people are going to find you, or you're going to find them, and you're just going to be excited, right? Think about it, instead of a sales pitch, right? We're going for connection. People are interested in connection. People are interested in other people that are super excited about what they're doing, and just stay rooted in your worth, knowing that like the right opportunities are going to find you, you know? So just be excited and focus on connection and community instead of marketing and sales, right? Everybody's tired of marketing. Everybody's tired of sales, right? So just be a person out in the world being a genius.
Fantastic, Kelly. We appreciate that. I did drop in the chat evaluation for folks, so please take a minute to provide some feedback. We'll share that with Kelly. It also helps us in future planning. Kelly, I don't know if you want to drop your contact info in the chat as well.
Yes,
You got a
I
slide for
do.
folks? Fantastic. Awesome. Yeah. Well, we are always grateful to have you all joining one of our workshops. Kelly, again, thank you so much for being with us. We love having you and look forward to our next workshop. If there aren't any other questions, Kelly's dropped their email in the chat, but we hope you all have a fantastic day. Take some of the reflections that you've learned today and apply it directly to your work.
Thank you so much for having me. It was a pleasure to be with y'all. And seriously, do not be shy about sending me an email. Happy to help. So just, you know, drop into my bucket and ask away. I love to chat and communicate and network and just collaborate. So holler at me. Don't be shy.
Fantastic.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, thank y'all.